Hi, Ocean Rangers! Thanks so much for joining us for our summer kids camp here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. I'm Stacy. I'm coming to you from the aquarium where we're going to explore adaptations. So I'm so glad that you were able to join us for our exploration today. Now, the whole way we're going to do this is that we're going to be making observations of animals. Now, when you make an observation as a scientist, you're going to be using your senses. Can you think of the senses that you might have? Well, the big sense that we're going to be using for this episode are our eyes, right? We're going to be looking at a lot of different things and observing with our eyes. Now, other ways that you can observe out there in the world, you can hear things, you can smell things, you can taste things, and you can touch things too. So those are your 5 different senses that you can use to explore the world. Now, I don't know if tasting is really the best option for us for this episode. So again, we're really going to focus on just seeing things. Unless you're exploring snacks, then you should definitely taste. And then when you're making these observations, I would love it if you would share those observations with us. And a real easy way to do that is to text us. Now, right here is our text line. It's 562-286-1838. You can send in a text to share your observations. You can also send in a text to ask questions you might have based on observations or maybe even based on things you just wonder about the animals we're going to explore today. Okay, so make sure that you send in that text, but for our younger viewers, also make sure that you ask for permission because texting rates can apply. Now, another thing we're going to do after we observe a picture of an animal is we're going to watch its behavior. That means we get to watch a video. And when the animals are actually moving, we can see what they're doing. And what they're doing will also tell us a lot about that animal. So we are going to discover so much together today because of all the observations that we're going to make together. I hope you're ready for this. Now, let's start with one of my favorite fish because they're so cute. I hope that you like them too. These fish are called lumpsuckers. All right, so let's take a look at a lumpsucker. Now we have our text line down there still. Oh, it just went away. But we have our number there so that way you can send in those texts. So what can we learn about a lumpsucker just by looking at it? What do you notice? One of the big things that I noticed just by looking at it really, really quick. Whoa, those spikes. Oh my gosh, do you see all of those spikes? Wow. Now, why do you think an animal would have spikes like this on its body? How is it going to help it to survive? Well, maybe not as many things will eat it if it's spiky. Would you want to bite this? I wouldn't want to bite it because it's so cute. But also those spikes, right? Now, these things that are going to help an animal survive in its habitat, these things are called adaptations. Can you say that too? Adaptation. Excellent. So an adaptation is something that a living thing has that's going to help it survive in its habitat. Now, what that living thing might have might be part of its body, like those spikes. It also might be its behavior, what it does. That's also an adaptation. So we're really going to look at those adaptations. Now, those spikes were incredible, right? The other thing that I noticed was its eye. It had a really big eye. Why do you think lumpsuckers need to have those eyes? Probably the same reason why we have eyes, so we can see around us, so they can see around them too. There is a lot out there in the ocean that a lumpsucker might need to think about. One of the big things, snacks. You have to be able to find food, and those eyes might help that lumpsucker do that. What else can the eyes maybe help it with? Maybe it can find friends. That's right. So finding friends is always a nice thing too. And then, of course, finding predators. The lumpsucker wants to make sure that it doesn't get eaten, so those eyes can help it to locate the predators. Okay, so now we know that this lumpsucker here has spikes and has really big eyes for seeing. Did you notice anything else about this animal? Based on the picture? Hard to say. Shall we see its behavior? Okay, I'm going to step out of the scene here. What do we notice? Oh, oh, what is it doing? What is its behavior? Let's see if we can rewind it so we can see the whole thing again, because why not? So it looks like it's breathing. We can see it huffing and puffing here. Oh, and then, what is it doing? It's looking around. That's right. So it's using those eyes to look around. Now its eyes are not just stuck in the head. Did you notice? They move? Oh, they're moving. They're moving. Aha! So those eyes are moving around. Not all animal eyes can move the way that the lumpsucker's eyes are moving. And so that is an adaptation. That's going to help it survive. Now, what about, other than its eyes, did you see any other movement? We saw it breathing. We saw it looking around. What else did you notice? Not much. Yeah, I'm not seeing it really move very much. Well, that's really interesting. Now, what I did notice is down here. Do you see those fins? Those fins are actually special fins. Those fins have a really important job. And we're going to see what that important job is in our next video. So I want you to take a really good look at those fins and what the lumpsucker is doing to try to figure out how this animal is surviving. Okay, so what do we notice here? This lumpsucker is hanging out on seaweed, like literally hanging out on seaweed. Oh my goodness, did you see that? It's like riding the seaweed like it was a horse. Those special fins are like a suction cup. That's how it gets the name lump sucker. It looks like a giant lump with a suction cup on the bottom. But the suction cup is their special fins that are on the bottom of that fish that help it to stick to something. And then even when it's stuck to seaweed and the water is moving, that fish can stay stuck. Now, is that helpful for that fish? Do you think it might be a good thing to be stuck to something? Well, that sticking makes sure that it doesn't get pushed around by the waves, right? So if there was a nice big wave, maybe it can hold on to that seaweed so it doesn't go away. That might not be so good for a little fish like that. But the other thing too is, do you notice its fins? It does have little fins, but those little fins are pretty little. So they may not be the best swimmer out there, and we can tell that just by looking at the fins. And so all those little fins there are good for moving a little bit, but it probably doesn't move really, really well. It maybe doesn't swim as well as something like a tuna. So being able to stick is actually a really good thing. So you don't always have to swim with fins that are not perfect for swimming against a really strong wave, right? Okay, so these are some things that we can do with animals anywhere. It doesn't just have to be with us here at our kids' camp, but you can do this anywhere. So, shall we practice again? Let's maybe look at a picture of a different kind of animal and see what we can learn based on the picture. And I hope that you're able to make some observations. Now, again, if you do want to share any of those observations or even send us some questions, our number is right there, 562-286-1838. All right. What is our next animal? I hope that you can recognize it. It is also an animal that has something kind of in common with that lumpsucker, actually. Let's take a look. Do you see it? This one might be tough to see. Well, I hope you noticed. It's an octopus. That's right. So this is an octopus. And this octopus is pretty good at hiding in its habitat. Look at the colors of the octopus. So we can tell that it blends in. Do you know what that's called? When it blends into its habitat? It's camouflage. That's right, camouflage. It's really good at hiding. Now, why does it need to hide? What is it hiding from? Hiding from snacks? Yeah, if you're trying to hunt, then maybe you can get a little bit closer, or maybe that food even comes over to you and you'll be able to catch it really easy. And of course, it's hiding from predators. It's hiding from the animals that might want to eat them. Woohoo! So we have a really good at hiding octopus here. Now, what are some other things that we can learn about the octopus just by looking at these pictures? All right, now while we are looking at this picture here, we actually have a question from Bennett. How big are lump suckers? Well, Bennett, there are actually a few different kinds of lump suckers out there. We have a couple here at the aquarium, and I think that they're something around like this big. So not super big. They're a little bit on the little side, making them great for sticking on seaweed and also rocks and things too. Thanks for that question. All right, so did you notice anything else about this octopus that we can learn just by looking at this picture? Well, one of the things that I noticed is its eye. Did you see that too? So just like lump suckers, the octopus has eyes, and they use their eyes in kind of a similar way. Now, they may not move them around quite as much as a lump sucker can. They can move them a little bit, but those eyes are going to be really great for locating food and also staying safe and looking for friends or maybe foes. Ooh. Okay, so now that we have seen this here, shall we watch a video to look at its behavior? So what is this octopus doing? How can we learn about them just by watching what they do? What are you noticing here? Well, we know that an octopus is known for having 8 arms, right? That's how it gets the name octopus. So it has 8 arms, and under its arms are tons and tons of suction cups. Did you notice that? Woohoo! So just like that little lump sucker has the special fins that act like one big suction cup, the octopus has a ton of suction cups. In fact, it's up to 250 on an arm for this giant Pacific octopus. That's the kind of octopus that we're looking at right here. Now, here's another really cool thing about these suction cups. Did you notice how it's using them? It's using them to stick, but also to walk. That's right. So an octopus uses those suction cups to walk around, to hold on to things. And these suction cups are so strong, one suction cup, one of the bigger ones, kind of up here near the main part of its body, can hold 10 pounds. Like you can take a 10-pound bowling ball and one suction cup is like, yeah, I got that. Now what? So it's crazy. They're incredibly strong animals, but it's a very useful thing when you don't want to get pushed around by the waves. Now, another really neat thing about a suction cup that you can't really tell by watching a video here is that it's actually made for tasting too. So it can stick, it can walk, it can do all of those things with those suction cups, but it can also taste. So it's almost like having a tongue on the bottom of each of these suction cups. It's crazy. But if you think about this, it's a really useful thing because an octopus is a squishy, squishy animal. And so when you're really, really squishy, you may not want to go out into the ocean and around a whole bunch of different things that might want to eat you. So being able to hide and then maybe stick an arm out and taste some things and go, ooh, I think that's food, and bring it to you will help you stay safe from predators. So it's actually a really interesting adaptation that these octopuses have to help keep them safe. So suction cups are incredibly useful for an octopus. Now wait, the suction cup is sticking onto the window here. I bet you it can stick to rocks. It would stick to food too, right? But where's the octopus's mouth? Do you see anything that might look like a mouth? Well, it's hard to tell, but right there between all of those arms is where its mouth is. And their mouth is a beak. It kind of almost looks like a bird beak. And that thing can crunch up lots of different things. Let me show you what that might even look like. So here is a beak. So we can see what it looks like. Wow, that's incredible, right? Okay, so this beak is kind of pointy. This one is not for a giant Pacific octopus. This one is from a Humboldt squid, and it is a model. But they look very similar. So this, oh, there's a Humboldt squid, cool. They're cousins, by the way. So this beak is really great for being able to crunch and munch. An octopus's favorite food often is a crab. So can you imagine how they would use this to eat a crab? Absolutely, right? Because that can actually get into that hard shell of a crab and be able to get the insides, because they don't want to eat the shell part. That's not really the good, tasty stuff. Just like us, right? We don't want to eat the shell, the outside exoskeleton of a crab. We want to eat the inside, and that's what an octopus is after too. So, learning by observation. I just love it. Okay, shall we look at a different video of an octopus and see what else we can discover about an octopus just by observing it? Okay. There we go. Oh boy. What did you notice? Huh. That's a really interesting video. What did you see here in this video? One of the things that I noticed is that it was very red and the skin was a little bit smooth at the beginning. And then here, oh, there's the beginning. And then what happens? It settles into the reef and the skin changes. Not only does it change in color, we saw in the very, very first picture of the octopus that it looks like its surroundings with color, right? But it changed the texture of its skin. Not only did it change from red to kind of brown and white, but it went from smooth to pokey. Now, being pokey is good for a couple of reasons. It might look like the surroundings. You notice it's not very smooth around that octopus, right? The other thing too is that maybe looking spiky is another good thing, just like that lumpsucker. So being able to not only change your color, but change your texture is a really good adaptation. Now, sometimes you can actually see an octopus change from this. This is basically what we're watching, right? This to camouflaged and then back. But what if we swam by when the octopus was already like this? Do you think you would see it? Maybe not. And that's a really great thing for that octopus who wants to stay safe from predators. They don't know if we're predators. We're pretty big as people. So maybe we would want to eat an animal like this. So being able to hide is a really, really good thing. Now let's see. We have YMCA asking, what is the smallest octopus? Oh my goodness. They are really, really tiny. They're called octopus wolfie. And they are 1.5 centimeters. 2.5 centimeters. Okay, I was a little off there. So 2.5 centimeters. That's pretty little. And that's as big as they can be. They weigh less than a gram. So they don't really weigh much at all. We also have, let's see, starsucker and pygmy octopus. So it's pretty cool. They can be really, really itty bitty. The biggest octopuses out there are actually the kind that we have here at the aquarium, the giant Pacific octopus, which is what we were looking at when we looked at the suction cups. So the giant Pacific octopus is much, much, much bigger. In fact, I think the one that we have here now weighs in the 40-pound range now. So it has gotten pretty big, especially compared to the tiniest octopuses out there. Okay, cool. So we are learning a lot about animals just by watching them. Now, oh, here's a really cool one. This is actually the octopus I was talking about, the one that we have here at the aquarium. This is when he was smaller, and he has grown quite a lot in the last few months. One of the reasons why they grow so quickly is because their lifespan is actually pretty short, especially for such a large animal. Octopuses have a pretty short lifespan. For a giant Pacific octopus like the one that you see in this video here, it's kind of somewhere around maybe the 3 to 5 year range. That's it. So they do have to grow pretty fast for them to get large enough that, that they're reaching their maximum or average sizes. So it's really cool to be able to watch how this octopus moves with its suction cups. Now, wait a minute. Does an octopus only walk around in its environment? They don't. They can also swim. Now, their swimming is kind of interesting. They don't really use their arms very much for swimming. So we're going to take a look at an animation. And this animation is a squid, but again, they are cousins. So just like we were investigating the squid beak to learn more about an octopus's beak, we're going to investigate this animation of a squid to learn more about how an octopus might swim. So this is its body or mantle, okay? And it's open to the ocean, so water can get sucked into the body. And then they spit it out of this little tube called a siphon. So the water goes in and the water gets spat out. And when they do that, they swim. So this is how a squid moves. And that is also how an octopus moves too. Now, I think we have some videos that show us this body opening of an octopus so we can see what that looks like. So this is that body opening. It's sucking water in and pushing water out. Sucking water in, pushing it out. In, out. Okay, so you can see how this octopus can swim. But is this octopus swimming? No. This octopus doesn't look like it's swimming, or else it would have gone away from this video, right? So what this octopus is doing here is just breathing. Inside its body is also where its gills are. So when the water goes in, the water's going past the gills so it can get oxygen from the water, and then it breathes that water out. So when it breathes like this, when it's just kind of like in, out, really calmly, it can actually just sit still and breathe. When it pushes the water out with more force is when it swims. Okay, so here's kind of another view of it. Again, we see this octopus really just kind of breathing, not necessarily swimming. Okay, now I love the questions that you're all sending in, so thanks so much. Keep them coming. We have Lillian asking, how long can they stay camouflaged for? Oh, Lillian, I think they can camouflage basically as long as they want to. So they'll even sometimes take a nap, and you won't even know that they're there at all, and you just keep on swimming. And so they can stay camouflaged for a very, very long time. It's pretty amazing. And then another question, how smart are they? Oh, let's actually take a look at this video again to talk about camouflage, and then we'll go back into smart. Wow, did you see that? So this octopus was nestled into the reef there, and I don't think it really needed to come out of camouflage, except it got a little bit nervous with us nearby. So then it started to kind of swim away. Just a little. It could probably even move a little faster than that if it felt really, really threatened. So, so we can see how it was camouflaged and how it swam. Very cool video. All right, so how smart are they? They're incredibly smart. They are the smartest invertebrates out there. In fact, they're so smart, they can figure out puzzles. Now, when octopuses live in a place like an aquarium, we have to give them some things to keep them challenged, because otherwise it may get a little bit boring. That's how smart they are. So we give them things we call enrichment. It's basically things that change up their lives a little bit, so it keeps them thinking and it keeps them moving. Sometimes all we need to do is change around the furniture inside their exhibit. That means if the rock was here, we move it over here. If there was a sea star, maybe it walked from over here to over here, and the octopus is like, whoa, 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 something's different. And it has to think through it. We can also give the octopus some different puzzles or even toys. Oftentimes we will associate food with it too, because why not? Everybody loves snacks. So this octopus here, if you look in the little tugboat, there's a crab. So this is octopus food. It was a frozen crab. We thawed it out and we put it in a boat. Now, octopuses don't usually eat things hanging out in toy boats. So this is enrichment. It's something new and different. The octopus needs to investigate. First, it has to make sure that it's nothing dangerous. And then after it figures out it's nothing dangerous, it wants to see if this is something that it is interested in. So those suction cups are tasting the boat. They're probably tasting the plastic of the boat, but also it might be tasting a little bit of the crab. Once it realizes there's crab there, it will sink the boat to get to that food. Now, it does take them a little bit of time to eat. So it just hangs out and it's eating. But that octopus has to think about, I want to eat crab. I don't want to eat a toy boat. So it spits out the toy boat and then it takes the crab. So this is almost like a puzzle. It's a toy for the octopus to think through, something that it doesn't come across every day, something kind of new and different. So they are incredibly smart. In fact, they're so smart that they could even escape their exhibits if you're not really, really careful. So we're very careful with what their exhibit looks like. We're very careful to give them lots of fun toys and things, just so they have lots to experience. Another question, how long do the giant Pacific octopuses live? That's the big one that we just saw a moment ago. It's somewhere between like 3 and 5 years or so, and that's basically it. Basically, once the females lay eggs, so once the moms lay eggs, they might like protect the eggs a little bit and fan the eggs so that way there's nice fresh water that goes past them. But they don't live much longer than that. All right. Now, what does a baby octopus look like? Like that. So they actually are a whole lot like a big octopus that got shrunk down into something smaller, like shrink ray octopus right there. Well, we were able to explore a lot about octopuses here. Now, there are some activities out there, Ocean Rangers, for you to take a look at. If you go to our website, there's a really fun activity that encourages you to make observations of your own, maybe even in your own backyard or front yard or a park even. So remember, observations means that you're using your senses to explore your world. And a really easy sense to use, especially these days, are your eyes and even your ears. See if you can see things and hear things in your own habitat, in your own homes, to learn more about the animals out there. Remember, you can watch or you can look at a picture to learn about them. And if you watch their behaviors, you can even learn more. Now, if you did watch this a little later and you wanted to share your activity or you have more questions, we do encourage you to send it to us with our email address that's on the bottom there, live@lbaop.org. live@lbaop.org. Now, I'm so glad that you were able to join us. My Ocean Ranger friends, we do have more Ocean Ranger episodes coming later this week. In fact, tomorrow, we're going to be exploring even more about invertebrates. So the octopus is a kind of invertebrate, but there are more invertebrates in this world than vertebrates. What does that mean? Well, in order to find out, all you have to do is tune in. All right, so hopefully you'll tune in and you can learn a lot more about invertebrates. And remember to keep exploring and keep making observations. In fact, maybe we can even throw up one of our webcams so you can see what's going on around the aquarium. If you're ever interested in taking a look at what's going on around the aquarium, just go to our website and check out our webcams. You can even make observations that way too. And you can see what the animals here at the aquarium are up to. Now, we have lots of different ones. They're usually for our more popular exhibits. So take a look. This is Shark Lagoon. Now, I do want to say thanks again for joining us. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow.